Hey everyone, it's Fun Around, and my name is Jordan, and we have a nice 9-game slate for Wednesday. So I'm going to break it down as quickly as possible. You will see images that come up on the screen right here. That's from a data app called Outlier. There will be a link in the description for a 7-day free trial for Outlier. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this first game. It's going to be the 76ers at the Raptors. Raptors are 4-point favorites. And these are two knowingly tanking teams. So the 76ers coach has come out and said that he's going to spread around his minutes, and he has not been lying. There's a lot of guys who their minutes are just fluctuating, near 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes, and it's up and down. And then with the Raptors, a lot of their starters will sit near the end of the fourth quarter, whether the game is close or not. So injury-wise, Maxey and Paul George are out. Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre are questionable. And then for the Raptors, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, Emmanuel Quickley are all out, and Scotty Barnes is questionable. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits. But Sixers are 2-8 in the last 10 games and 3-7 against the spread, and the Raptors are 5-5 in the last 10 and 6-4 against the spread. Sixers the 22nd fastest pace, and the Raptors the 20th fastest pace. So this is a game I don't really want to touch just because of the tanking going on. Raptors need to do a little bit better job because they're 5-5 in the last 10. But one guy who has kind of stood out and taken advantage of his minutes is Quentin Grimes for the Sixers. He's been scoring very well. And then on the Raptors side of things, if Scotty Barnes does play, I would look for something like rebounds, because if Andre Drummond isn't there, they're not going to have much size. And I would look for something like first quarter prop or first half prop for Scotty Barnes, because I know for a fact he will come out with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter over the last few games, and he will not come back in. This next game is the Hornets at the Hawks. Hawks are 8-point favorites. The Hornets, they have had some tanking type mentality lately, but the last game they actually put up a really good fight. So Yusuf Nurkic will be questionable for them. And then on the Hawks side of things, Trae Young and Karis LeVert are also questionable. Hornets are 2-8 in the last 10 and 4-6 against the spread. The Hawks are 5-5 and 4-6 against the spread. Hornets 21st fastest pace, and the Hawks the third fastest pace. And if you're wondering why I'm mentioning the pace, is I'm trying to look for opportunities for games where they're up and down. The faster the pace, the more shot opportunities, the more rebounds, the more assists that go around. So a guy like in this matchup is going to be Miles Bridges for the Hornets. The Hawks give up the most points to the power forward position and the 10th most assists. He has been passing the ball pretty well. And then on the other side of things for the Hawks, I like Onyeka Okongwu at the center position. The Hornets are giving up the third most points and the 6th most rebounds to the center position. He's taken over the starting role this year. Last time he played the Hornets was pretty early in the season, but he still had 16 points, 11 rebounds. Since then, his role has increased. He's jumped into the starting lineup. He's playing 30-plus minutes. Jalen Johnson was knocked out for the year at the power forward position, which just gave him more run in the big man rotation. He just kind of knocked Clint Capella out of that main rotation. So I do think there's a good double-double chance here for Okongwu. Jumping into the next game, the Thunder at the Celtics. This is a big one everyone's going to have their eyes on. Celtics are 4.5-point favorites. For the Thunder, Jalen Williams, the starter Jalen Williams is out. The other Jalen Williams, who comes off the bench, will be playing. The Celtics, Porzingis is doubtful, and then Tatum and Brown are questionable. But I imagine they suit up for this one. I'd be surprised if they sit out, but we will see. Thunder 8-2 in the last 10 and 5-5 against the spread. The Celtics 8-2 and then 6-4 against the spread. Thunder's 7th fastest pace, and the Celtics the slowest pace in the NBA. So let's talk about this one. On the Thunder side of things, the Celtics don't have many holes in their defense. One that they struggle a little bit. I wouldn't say struggle, but it's kind of a soft spot. It's the point guard position, and they give up the 12th most points to the point guard position, and that's obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's had 30-plus points in the last 4 matchups against the Celtics. And then as far as the Thunder, there aren't many good matchups, but these games, I talked about it last time. The Celtics played the Lakers with Jason Tatum. So Tatum and Brown in these matchups, in these big matchups, big televised matchups, they play a lot more minutes and they take a lot more shots. Tatum gets more usage with distributing the ball. And then in the games against the lesser tier teams, the other guys get their shots up. So last two big televised games was the Cleveland and the Lakers. Tatum took 37 shots against the Cavs and 28 against the Lakers. And he got 40-plus minutes in both of those. He rebounded and distributed very well. Jaylen Brown in those games had 25 and 24 shots. He scored 31 and 37 points. He also played 40-plus minutes. He did not rebound and did not distribute as well as Jason Tatum did. So if you're looking for rebounds, assists, I would look at Tatum. Earlier this year, they played each other at Oklahoma City. This will be at Boston. Tatum had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 assist. They're obviously playing a little bit different than they are now. Now Tatum and Brown are pretty much going ISO and just switching on to a weak spot on the defense and just going after it. I know this is taking a lot longer for this breakdown, but I really wanted to break this one down right. So Jaylen Brown had 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I think we get a much different approach this time around from those two in Boston. But they are questionable, so we will see if they play. If they sit out, then they're just kind of throwing this one to not give any tells for potential finals matchup. If you guys could, please like the video, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. If you have a little bit of extra time, could you leave the comment for the algorithm? You just put the number 1. That helps get this video out there for more people to see. And also, if you want to get away from Prizepicks and try out some other apps, check out Underdog Fantasy, ParlayPlay, ChalkBoard, and BETR. Underdog is matching your first deposit up to $1,000. The others are doing up to $100. And then BETR is matching your first bet up to $250. Promo code is FINEAROUND11 for those. This fourth game will be the Clippers, who are on a back-to-back. Their starters just played a lot of minutes versus the Heat. The Heat are 1.5-point favorites. Clippers, they did not have Norman Powell or Ben Simmons. We will see if those guys return for this one. And the Heat have no new significant injuries. Clippers 4-6 in the last 10 and 2-8 against the spread. The Heat are 3-7 in the last 10 and 6-4 against the spread. I've noticed with some of these big market teams, they're not hitting the spread as much as they should. It just means a lot more money's coming in on them, and they're just not getting it done. Clippers, the 25th fastest pace, and the Heat, the 29th fastest, so nothing too big here. James Harden, he did just play a lot of minutes. He does have a good matchup for assists. The Heat give up the 11th most assists to the point guard position, but we'll see if they have a lot of guys sit out for this tail end of a back-to-back. And then on the Heat side of things, Andrew Wiggins has a good matchup. 11th most points to the small forward position. His last 6 games, he's had 19, 22, 15, 23, 20, and 25. So he's averaging around 17 points a game. Hopefully we can get just below 20-ish, and he's been clearing that pretty consistently. His next game is one that we all dream will be a close matchup, because this will be a fireworks matchup. And this is why we talk about pace. The Jazz at the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are 13-point favorites. So that scares me a little bit. For the Jazz, Jordan Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen are questionable. Keontae George is doubtful. But Colin Sexton, Walker Kessler, John Collins, all these guys can be rolled out for rest reasons, for injury management reasons. It's happened all year long. So you'll have to wait on the injury report for the Jazz, unless you're betting on a guy like John Collins, and then he gets taken out, then it's fine. But if you're going for a guy like Bryce Sensabaugh or Kyle Filipowski, who are affected by these guys playing, I would not place the bet until you know for sure who is in and who is out for the Jazz. The Grizzlies, Santi Aldama is out. Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. Zach Edey and Brandon Clark are questionable. That is their 4 big men right there. The Jazz are 2-8 in the last 10, but they're 7-3 against the spread. And then the Grizzlies are 5-5 in the last 10 and 1-9 against the spread. Jazz, the 4th fastest pace. The Grizzlies, the 5th fastest pace. This is what we look for, and you're about to find out with all these really good matchups. So if John Collins plays, he took 30 shots last game. The Grizzlies are giving up the 9th most points to the power forward position. In those 30 shots, he scored 28 points. He has no fear taking shots. So then there's Isaiah Collier, the point guard. The 3rd most assists are given up to the point guard position by the Grizzlies. Next, Colin Sexton. They give up the most points to the shooting guard position and the 5th most assists to the shooting guard position. And then this one, I would not place a bet on until you know Lauri Markkanen's status. Bryce Sensabaugh. The Grizzlies give up the 4th most points to the small forward position. Wait until the injury report for these backup type guys. On the other side of things, John Morant, great matchup. 3rd most points allowed to point guards, 2nd most rebounds, 5th most assist. And then the other guard position, Desmond Bane, 7th most points allowed, 2nd most rebounds, and the most assists allowed to the shooting guard position. And then I have here Walker Kessler with a question mark. If Zach Edey and Brandon Clark sit, or even just Zach Edey sits, along with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Santi Aldama, Walker Kessler is going to have a field day with rebounds. This next game will be a rematch. Mavericks at the Spurs. Spurs are 5.5-point favorites. The Mavericks won this one 133 to 129. I love those high point totals. This one will be in San Antonio now. Mavericks, all the regulars are out, and then PJ Washington is questionable, and Dante Exum is questionable. Spurs, Devin Vassell, and Jeremy Zohan are questionable. Mavericks are 3-7 in the last 10, 3-7 against the spread. Spurs 2-8 and 2-8 against the spread. Mavericks 14th fastest pace, the Spurs the 12th fastest pace. So decently fast-paced matchup, and that showed with that high-scoring game on Monday. So guys to look out for. So the Mavericks, they don't have like true positions when it comes to like the center and power forward. They have their forwards out there who you could say are the centers, and this is where the Spurs are the weakest at, and it showed on Monday. So Kessler Edwards is technically the center position. So the Spurs give up the most points to the center position. He starts at the center position, if you want to call it that, even though he's not a true center. But he had 22 points and 11 rebounds. And then the Spurs also give up the 2nd most points and the most rebounds to the power forward position. So basically the power forward / center, those two forwards down there. And Najee Marshall has been going off as of late, and it's just been really quiet. But he would be the power forward, I would think, with the starting lineup. In his last 4 games, he's had 23 points, 34 points, 29, and 22. So neither of these guys' lines are out because it's dependent on PJ Washington. If PJ Washington plays, he's going to get that power forward slot. So if he sits out, look out for Kessler Walker and Najee Marshall. And then just a side note, Clay did have 26 in that game. I don't trust Clay. He hasn't been as consistent as he used to be. And then Spencer Dinwiddie had a really big game. If Dante Exum sits, he may become the starting point guard. He had 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists a couple days ago. Then on the other side of things, the forwards against the Mavericks, Harrison Barnes, they give up the 7th most points to the power forward position, where they have him slotted at in the 4th most rebounds, and that showed. He scored 29 points and had 8 rebounds. He shot 12 for 14. I don't see that happening again, so we'll just have to see if his line is just an overreaction of that previous game. And then Keldon Johnson, they give up the 13th most points to the small forward position. This is where Devin Vassell would be at. Devin Vassell, like I said, is questionable. And Vassell had 24 points in that game. And then Keldon Johnson came off the bench and he had 28 points. So we'll just have to keep an eye out on Devin Vassell's status. If he is ruled out, a sleeper would be Julian Champagnie, who has gone quiet since the beginning of the year. His minutes would boost up a little bit. Just keep an eye out on Julian Champagnie lines. And then this Seventh game is the Suns at the Rockets. Rockets are 4.5-point favorites. Suns have no new significant injuries. They showed last game that they're willing to win. They're willing to fight. They played Kevin Durant through the third quarter into the fourth quarter until they ended up losing, but they were at least trying. And I like to see that in teams at this point in the year when we have a lot of teams just tanking. Rockets, Amen Thompson is out, and then Fred VanVleet is probable. Suns are 4-6 in the last 10 and 6-4 against the spread. The Rockets are 6-4 in the last 10 and 7-3 against the spread. Suns the 15th fastest pace, and the Rockets the 16th fastest pace, so not bad. Really good matchup here is going to be for Devin Booker. The Rockets are giving up the 4th most points to the point guard position. And then for the Rockets, Alfred Sengun has a good matchup at the center position. You can imagine the Suns, they don't really have a really good big down there, so he could have a really good day. 5th most points to the center position and the most rebounds allowed to the center position. And with Amen Thompson out, who takes a lot of rebound chances away, that's going to just help boost Alfred Sengun's rebounds. And then if you believe in breakout games with good matchups, if you believe in redemption or you want to take a discount on someone's line, if we get a discount, is Jalen Green. He has been bad as of late, but he's got a good matchup. They give up the 2nd most points to the shooting guard position. So if you believe in that breakout spot and you see a decent line, this could be that game. Before I get into these last few, I want to give a special shout out to Sleeper. Check out Sleeper. They have one of the best interfaces in the game. You can do live bets on there. They have alt lines, dynamic payouts, all kinds of stuff. They do fantasy leagues and everything. Sleeper is one of my favorite apps to use. Promo code is FINDAROUND11, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. His next game is the Knicks at the Blazers. The Knicks are 4-point favorites. Jalen Brunson remains out. And the Blazers, DeAndre Ayton remains out, and Jeremy Grant is doubtful. The Knicks are 5-5, and then 2-8 against the spread. Like I said, a lot of money coming in on some New York teams and LA teams. Blazers are 5-5 and then 6-4 against the spread. Knicks 23rd fastest pace. The Blazers the 6th fastest pace. Josh Hart has a really good matchup here, right into his strength. They give up the 5th most rebounds to the small forward position. And then on the other side of things, Anthony Simons, I was surprised to see this, the most points allowed to the point guard position. And Anthony Simons has been on one in the last 6 games. He's had 32 points, 34 points, 14, not great there. And then he had 30, 34, and 27. So he has been on fire and a really good matchup here. And then this final game is the Timberwolves at the Nuggets. Nuggets are 3.5-point favorites. Rudy Gobert is questionable. Nuggets, the Aaron Gordon is doubtful. And then Jokic and Jamal Murray are probable. The Timberwolves are 6-4 in the last 10 and 6-4 against the spread. And the Nuggets are 6-4 and 3-7 against the spread. The Wolves, the 17th fastest pace, and then the Nuggets, the 9th fastest pace. And then a matchup that I really like, immediately go to the center position, see if Jokic has any advantages. And the Timberwolves are giving up the 9th most rebounds to the center position. They used to not give up much, but I think since they picked up their pace, since where they used to be at, they're getting a lot more shots up, which is allowing more rebounds. And then a guy for the Timberwolves, a little bit surprising. I know he's capable because I saw him do this with the Knicks, but Julius Randle, 9th most assists allowed overall to teams by the Nuggets. And last 3 games, he's had 10 assists, 9 assists, and 9 assists. So he's been distributing the ball very well. So keep an eye out for Julius Randle's assist line. So if you'd like to discuss lines further, I have a Discord. Link is in the description. That is free. You can talk about lines all day long and all other different sports. I know baseball is coming up and people are getting excited for that. And then as far as a recap goes, the day was better. Derek Jones Jr., I had him over 7.5 points plus assist. He hit that pretty sweat-free. And then I did an alt spread parlay for -110. I saw that Ty Jerome was out, and DeAndre Hunter and Donovan Mitchell were questionable, and that came out later in the day, so they're more than likely going to be out. But I put the Nets spread from 17.5 to 25.5, and I didn't even need that. But I matched it with the Pistons for -9.5, and that hit nicely. And then I had a Zubac rebound ladder, and he came up a few rebounds short. I do the ladder because the regular prop was -140, and I wanted some plus money, so I just put the one higher just to see the plus money there. I should have went with his assist because I did mention in the video that when he has a good assist to match up, he usually hits his line, and his line was 2.5, and it was plus money, and he crushed it. And then I had Jared Allen for a double-double for +140, and that hit. Everything went well except for the Zubac rebounds. So I know this is a big slate, but I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to be a lot more calculated with it. So I'm going to get this edited and get it out to you. God bless you all. It's fine around. My name is Jordan. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.